Good old Medicare drug plans. If you thought that figuring out the pieces of Medicare were complicated, now we're on Medicare drug plans. And they have made Medicare drug plans so complicated that it's really very difficult to figure out. It's even difficult for me to try and start to make a video on how they work because it is such a convoluted mess. I'm hoping that there's some hope in the future that they will simplify Medicare drug plans. There is a bit of hope going into 2025 where they are going to have a maximum out-of-pocket cap on costs related to Medicare drug plans, which will be a $2,000 cap maximum out-of-pocket. Now, what they don't discuss when they're talking about this out-of-pocket cap is the fact that that's also going to cause premiums to go up. So we want to make sure that we, number one, understand how a Medicare drug plan works, and number two, that we maximize the value. So I'm going to go through that right now, and we'll try and paint the picture so you can understand exactly how they function so that you can make a better decision when it comes to getting a Medicare drug plan. I just wanted to jump in for a quick second and invite you to join my private Facebook group, Talking Medicare, where you can get answers to just about any questions on Medicare and interactions with others that are also in Medicare. There are no agents, no sales whatsoever. It's absolutely free. Just visit talkingmedicaregroup.com and it'll take you right there. You can sign up for free. Easy to do. Enjoy the video. So when you would have a Medicare drug plan is when you stay with original Medicare, A and B. You'll probably have a Medicare supplement plan. You would likely also get a Medicare drug plan. Most Medicare Advantage plans include a drug plan as part of their Medicare Advantage package, which I actually foresee as more problematic because it really links the two together. So if you have a problem in one area, you then have a problem in multiple areas because you can't change what's going on. So if you have a difficult time within Medicare Advantage, it's just another reason why I would always recommend staying with original Medicare. It just gives you more freedom and flexibility to do the things that you need to do. So with Medicare drug plans, it's not hard to find one. It's actually pretty easy to find one. And I have a video right here, and I'll put the link below as well on how to find a Medicare drug plan. The best way to do it is you're on your own, because that way you don't have somebody sell you a drug plan that may not be the best one for you. With a Medicare drug plan, it's really based on the medications that you currently take. So Medicare, the website, actually has a very good tool that you plug in your medications that you currently take, you plug in the pharmacy that you would likely use, and it brings up the best Medicare drug plan based on total annual cost. So not only the premium, but also the out-of-pocket expense, the deductible, what you will spend on those drugs throughout the year, all included. It shows you the best value in a Medicare drug plan. So that is by far the best way to find the right drug plan. Other than that, there's so many of them, they're so different, there's no way any independent insurance broker like myself could have access to all of them. So I would never feel comfortable being able to sell somebody a drug plan because it may not be the right one. So that's the first thing to understand. It's really easy to do. I'll walk you right through it. You simply put in the information and it tells you based on your zip code what the best plan is. So let's understand the insides of a Medicare drug plan. So in Medicare drug plans, they're all similar in how they work. They're different on how they set up their medications. So they're tier levels. You've probably been through this your entire life at work where you have a tier 1, a tier 2, a tier 3, so forth and so on. And some drug plans could put certain drugs into tier 1, some put them into tier 2 or 3. So you want to make sure that you understand that. So there are 4 different levels when it comes to a Medicare drug plan. It has first the deductible level, and then it goes into the initial coverage, and then it goes into the coverage gap. Used to be called the donut hole. They don't call it that anymore, even though it's still kind of a donut hole. And then the final is the catastrophic coverage. So when we look at this picture, and the benefits are different in each one of the levels. Now, something to understand is going from the deductible level to the initial coverage level is pretty common. Going past the initial coverage level is much less common. It's only about 12% of the people ever get out of the initial coverage level. So understand that and go into the coverage gap, the donut hole. So, and then going out of that, it's even a much smaller percentage that ever get into catastrophic coverage. But we'll go over all three of them. So you have specific dollar amounts, and you'll find it on most all the plans. And again, just different ones work in different ways. So you got to dig a little deeper to make sure you understand it. So right now in 2024, the deductible, so in the deductible level of the plan, Medicare sets that deductible. Right now it's $545. Now, what that means is the insurance carrier is not going to pay until you reach your deductible. It's pretty high deductible. But what you'll find is that lower tier drugs, generic things, and lower tier drugs don't necessarily apply to the deductible. There may be no cost for generic tier drugs, even in the deductible phase of your Medicare drug plan. So just keep that in mind. There's value right off the bat. And drug plans where they used to cost, the lowest one was somewhere around $17, $18 a month. Now you can find drug plan literally for $0 and 50 cents a month. So very little cost to have the drug plan. And again, the Medicare.gov site will show you the total cost, because it's not always the lowest premium, because they may have you paying more for the drugs as you're going, but you want to combine everything together with how they function. So once you move out of the deductible level, you're going to then go into the initial coverage level. And in the initial coverage level, you're going to only be paying a copay or a co-insurance, where now the insurance carrier is going to be paying likely for the majority of the cost of the drugs while you're in that initial coverage level. So you've already gotten past the deductible level. And again, fewer and fewer make it to these tiers. We don't want to get too far into these tiers, but in the initial coverage level, you will then have a copay or just a co-insurance when you utilize your prescription drugs. And what I would ask, since it is convoluted, and obviously a lot of people are on drug plans already, if you're on a drug plan now and you've had experience and you've learned something, or you've been surprised by something or disappointed by something, leave it in the comments. It will help others figure it out. And understand as well, there are alternatives. Even if you have a drug plan, it likely would make sense if you have, a cachet of drugs. If you take more than the average, or if you take expensive stuff, then absolutely look into things like GoodRx or Mark Cuban's Cost Plus drug coverage, where they may actually provide better benefit than your drug plan. Even though you have a drug plan, you want to do the best you can to limit your out-of-pocket expense. So if you've had experience with GoodRx or with any of the other programs that are out there, a lot of people you hear get drugs out of Canada and they come in much cheaper than you can get them in the US. That's another thing. They're supposed to start to negotiate drug prices. It's beyond me how in the world Medicare is not allowed to negotiate drug pricing. I just don't understand it at all. But they're going to start, but they're going to start small. So they're going to start with 10 drugs right off the bat and then expand it from there. Hopefully, again, in the not too distant future, they'll find a way to make sense and to negotiate and to make things easy so that we know when we go to the pharmacy, it's only going to be a $10 or $20 copayment, whatever it may be. Just keep things easy for us. So once we're out of the initial coverage gap, it'll happen when both you and your drug plan have spent $5,030. So how are you going to figure that one out? Well, Medicare will be keeping track of this, not only what you spend, but what your drug plan spends. Your drug plan will spend much more than you spend, so you will get to that $5,000 much quicker than you may think. And then once you do, or if you do, it will then vault you into the coverage gap, the donut hole. And again, only about 10-12% of the people ever make it that far, but in the donut hole, you will then pay a flat 25% for whatever your prescription drug cost is. So if it were a $100 prescription, it's going to now cost you $25 for that while you're in that period. And then if you continue through there, and it gets more convoluted here because now the next number is $8,000, but that $8,000 is not the same calculation that got you into the coverage gap, where it's you and the insurance carrier spending whatever you're spending. It's now what you have spent plus somewhere around 75% of the actual total drug cost. So how they're calculating that, beyond me. Again, it's just convoluted. Again, if you've had experience with this, put it in the comments and help some people out on understanding exactly how it works. But this will now put you into catastrophic coverage. And catastrophic coverage, actually not too bad of a place to be. You will no longer have cost for your Medicare prescriptions once you're in catastrophic coverage. So what that means is that your maximum out of pocket for the year, we don't really know what is it. It's hidden in that $8,000 number somewhere, the part that you have spent versus the total cost of the drugs. It'll be much less than $8,000. I don't think it's going to be quite $2,000. But going forward in the future, they are going to make it the $2,000. So just keep that in mind. And again, what that's going to do when they put a cap like that on spending, it's great for the people that have outrageous prescription costs. Obviously, it's great for them. But what they don't talk about is then it spreads the risk over everybody, and it causes everybody's premium to go up. So where right now we have 0 premium, 50-cent premium drug plans, I'll be quite surprised in 2025 if we have things like that going forward, because the greater the benefit, the greater the cost. So even though they put that protection in, it's going to come from somewhere, and generally it's going to come from premium. So this gives you an idea on how drug plans function. And again, crazy. Hopefully they can figure it out how to make it a little bit more understandable going forward, but it's not on the horizon yet. So we got to play with what we got. And I hope you found this helpful. Please feel free to join my Facebook group. It's a great place to ask questions and get answers. TalkingMedicareGroup.com takes you right there. It's free and just an easy way to figure out a lot of this Medicare stuff. So I hope you found this helpful. Have a fantastic day.